In the summer of 2002, a 15-year-old girl ran into a South Carolina State Police Department in fear. The girl, who ran to the police station for help, had her hands handcuffed and ropes dangling from her feet. Arriving at the station in this state, she stunned the police. Let's examine the story in more detail. On June 22, 2002, Kara Robinson was at her friend Jessica's house. The Itwo friends planned to go to the lake together to sunbathe and swim. Before leaving the house, Jessica had to water the flowers in her garden. But first, she wanted to take a shower. To save time, Jessica asked her friend to water the flowers and then went into the shower. While Kara was watering the flowers, she noticed the same car passing in front of their house several times. After circling the house a few times, the car stopped in front of Jessica's parents' house, and the driver got out and began to approach Kara. The driver who got out of the car looked like a very neat, well-dressed, and wealthy man. This made Kara feel safe. Approaching the girl, the man asked Kara if her parents were home. The young girl said that this was not her house and that it belonged to her friend. Upon this conversation, the man who got out of the car told Kara that he was distributing magazines to the surrounding houses, so he wanted to give these magazines to one of the adults in this house. Kara said that only she and her friend were at home. The man asked Kara to give the magazines to her friend's parents when the family members returned home, and then began to approach Kara to give them to her. At that moment, Kara felt something was wrong. Kara had no time to do anything because the man approached her very quickly and pressed a pistol to her body. This pistol was so small that the man had easily hidden it in his hand. Therefore, passers-by did not realize that the young girl was in danger. The man calmly told Kara that she had to get into his car, and that if she didn't or if she screamed, he would shoot her. Kara had no choice and therefore had to do what the man said. Later, during the investigation, one of the witnesses said that from the outside, it looked like Kara had gotten into the car of her own free will. When they approached the car, the criminal ordered Kara to sit inside a large plastic container in the back seat of the car. The man threatened her again, saying that if she called for help or made a noise, he would shoot her immediately. The young girl did everything the man said, and they left the area by car. Kara, sitting inside the large plastic container, was very scared. She didn't know what to do, but tried not to panic. To understand approximately where they were going, the girl tried to keep the car's turning maneuvers in her mind and memorize them. After a 15-minute drive, the car stopped, and the criminal moved to the back seat. He tied Kara's legs with rope, handcuffed her hands, and gagged her. During this pause, Kara realized that the car was parked on the side of the road. The criminal was acting very calmly and was not trying to hide everything he did. He had committed a crime in broad daylight and had not been noticed. Throughout the journey, Kara tried to find a plan for how she could escape. She thought that the criminal would take her to a quiet and remote place, as usually happens in such situations. The moment the car stopped and the man opened the door, she heard the sounds of cars outside and people talking. At that moment, the girl realized that they had not left the city and that she might have a chance to escape. The criminal took the container Kara was sitting in out of the car, dragged it along the asphalt, and carried it into his house. Kara was preparing herself for the worst, but something she didn't expect happened. The man opened the lid of the box, removed the ropes he had tied the girl with, left only the handcuffs on her hands, and even helped to shock Kara out of the box. The criminal looked very calm and was not even afraid that the girl might escape. He didn't even lock the front door of the house. Kara noticed that the crime was taking place in a very strange way, and her hope of escape increased even more. The girl tried to be obedient so that the criminal would trust her. The man who kidnapped her allowed Kara to walk around the house with him. Examining the house, the girl tried to remember as many details as possible and find as much information as possible about this man. Kara saw a prescription written by a doctor inside the house and kept the doctor's name in mind. She even mustered her courage and tried to ask questions about the criminal's life. Thanks to the questions she asked, she learned that the man was a former soldier. Despite all this situation, the young girl noticed that the man communicated with her in a very polite and intelligent way. In return, the criminal asked Kara many questions and wrote the answers in his notebook. He asked the girl if she was a virgin and how much sexual experience she had. After this question, Kara understood that the criminal had not kidnapped her just to talk. She knew what the criminal was going to do to her, but she hoped to escape before it happened. Unfortunately, Kara had no time. When the criminal finished asking questions, he took Kara to a room on the second floor, and Kara was sexually abused there for several hours. Kara's main goal was to survive, so she waited calmly for all these things to end. The girl tried to psychologically convince herself that this was a bad dream, that her body was not her own, and that what was happening was not happening to her. When the nightmare she was living ended, the criminal turned on the television and said, "We will watch the news together and see if anyone missed you." Kara had only been gone for 8 hours, so naturally, no one had tried to look for her. There was no news about her on the news. Continuing the psychological pressure on the youth, the criminal said, "You see, no one misses you." In addition, the man told Kara that he could let her go if she wanted, but then her name would be blackened as a girl who had been sexually abused, and people would think bad things about her. Despite the psychological bullying, Kara continued to stay strong and continued to believe in the possibility of escape to the end. After a while, the criminal said he had to call someone on the phone and put Kara back into the plastic box. He said, "I won't gag you because you were good." But at that moment, a panic attack started in Kara. The criminal said that if she didn't make a sound, he wouldn't close the lid of the plastic container. Kara kept her silence, and when she heard the phone conversation, she realized that the criminal was talking to his wife. After the phone call, the criminal forced Kara to use drugs with him and also forced Kara to take a sleeping pill. He handcuffed Kara's hands to the head of the bed and tied her legs with a rope. After that, the man lay down on the bed next to Kara and fell asleep. The young girl continued to think about escaping, but due to the effects of the sleeping pill and the drugs, she had no physical or mental strength left. Therefore, she also fell asleep and realized that she woke up before the criminal. Kara knew at that moment that this was her only chance to escape. Somehow, she managed to separate the handcuffs from the bed with the help of her teeth. Freeing her hands a bit, she untied her legs from the rope and quietly got out of bed. Kara quietly put on her clothes and walked toward the front door. There were many items around the front door, and the door itself was very heavy. Therefore, Kara realized that when she opened the door, the criminal might wake up from the noise. Besides this opportunity, the girl knew that she would not have a better chance to save her life. Kara tried to open the door as quietly as possible and quickly rushed into the street barefoot. Kara was afraid that the waking criminal would shoot her from the window, but this didn't happen. She ran incessantly without looking back and tried to find help. Since the place she escaped from was a residential area, Kara soon met a father and son. Seeing the girl in this state, the father and son were shocked and immediately took Kara to the police station. Arriving at the station, Kara told the police her entire horrific story. Before sending Kara to the hospital, the police asked the girl to show the house where the criminal had kept her. Arriving in that area, Kara could not remember exactly which house she had escaped from. After the 18-hour nightmare she had lived, she only remembered what the inside of the house looked like. She even knew that a red-haired woman lived in that house because she had seen red hair and a comb in the house. Kara did not remember much of the exterior appearance of the building from the outside. The reason for this was that she hadn't even looked back while escaping. The girl told the police all the information she had learned about the criminal's car and the inside of the house. Using this information, the police spoke with the public housing manager of that area. The manager said he knew what kind of house the police were talking about. This was Richard Marc Evonitz's house. The police immediately set out for this house. However, when they arrived at the house, no one was there. Most likely, the criminal had quickly left the house when he saw that Kara had escaped. Police officers did not waste a single second and obtained a house search warrant to find clues to catch the criminal. In the investigation, the police officers obtained much more evidence than they expected. In the corner of Richard's room, they found a large locked drawer hidden under clothes. Breaking open the box, the police officers found all the evidence that Richard Marc Evonitz was not just a criminal, but also a serial killer. Inside the open box, there were records Richard had kept about many girls he had been following for a long time. These records contained information about the ages and names of these girls, their families, and their private lives. Richard had recorded the future victims' daily routines in detail, including when the victims were home alone and when they got on the school bus. In the records found, police officers found a full list of future victims and another record where the killer took notes on plans for how to kidnap them. Worst of all, Richard's victims lived not only in South Carolina, but also in Virginia, Texas, Florida, and other states. Richard's ex-wife in the U.S. Navy had helped him travel frequently and look for new victims in these cities. Also, among the other records found in the box, police officers found newspaper clippings containing an article about 3 girls kidnapped and killed in Virginia. In 1996, 16-year-old Sophia Silva was kidnapped near a park, and in 1997, Kristen and her sister Katie Lisk were kidnapped from near their homes, and their lifeless bodies were found by a riverside. Detectives had been after the killer for 5 years, but could not find him. But now, all the facts showed that Richard had done it. DNA samples taken from Richard's house matched the DNA of the 3 murdered girls. This time, the police could not let the serial killer escape. Therefore, thinking that Richard was most likely trying to escape to another state, they immediately contacted the FBI for help. During the 3-day search, the police, together with the FBI, could not find a single clue as to where Richard was. However, suddenly, Richard's sister called the station. The woman said her brother was in Florida, and according to what Richard's sister said, Richard himself had called her, confessed to the crimes he committed, and wanted to meet her at a restaurant to talk to his sister. The police arrived at the restaurant designated in place of Richard's sister. Richard stood there and looked around. Realizing that the police were following him, he quickly got into the car and stepped on the gas. A chase began between the police and Richard. Police officers managed to burst the tires of Richard's car with the help of a pistol. Despite the damaged tires of the car, Richard continued to drive his car at high speed. At one point, Richard's car began to burn due to the tire rubbing against the asphalt, and Richard suddenly stopped the car. Police cars quickly surrounded him. Police officers told Richard to surrender, but he refused. Richard quickly took out his pistol, put it to his mouth, and shot himself. Everyone was shocked at that moment. The police had many unanswered questions and hoped to solve many more murders that Richard had committed. As a result of the research conducted in the interrogation, the detectives learned that during the murders Richard committed, he sent his own family on vacation so that no one would be at home. In the kidnapping of Kara, while Richard stayed at home, he sent his wife and mother to Disneyland, saying he had a lot of work. After learning the whole truth, the Evonitz family was shocked because Richard had never shown signs of aggression. According to his wife, Richard was a very calm and polite husband. His character did not look like a killer. Kara Robinson, who survived for 18 hours in the house of a serial killer, managed to cope with the psychological trauma she experienced, graduated from high school, and received training to become a police officer.